Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed's fourth and latest book called Madamar State was unveiled this week, marking a defining moment in advancing and solidifying the Madamar synergy philosophy. This book, Madamar State, presents the Madamar philosophy as a refined and widely embraced model of governance, shaping Ethiopia's national vision and inspiring public trust. Speaking at the book launch, Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed emphasized that Madamar State envisions building a better tomorrow, firmly grounded in the realities of today. He emphasized that the book confronts the crucial questions of why Ethiopia remains poor and offers a clear, actionable solutions and roadmap for accelerated progress. This is what the author of the book, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister of Ethiopia, said. But what readers said about it. Today, we're going to share you the views and reflections of prominent individuals who read the book. I am Zelalem Ibeltal, and I am joined by a colleague of mine, Getinat Shekurde. Do stay with us. Getinat, how are you today?
Good morning, Zelalem. How are you?
Yeah, thank you very much. So, Dr. Abiy Ahmed's fourth and latest book called Madamar State has been unveiled this week. And during the inauguration and launching ceremony, different individuals, prominent people, scholars, politicians, high-ranking government officials, military officers were presented. And I think you have attended the program, the launching ceremony, which was held in Addis Ababa International Convention Center here in Addis Ababa. And different scholars have expressed their views and reflections on the book Madamar State, fourth book of Dr. Abiy Ahmed, Prime Minister of Ethiopia. And let us share the views and reflections of scholars and government officials who shared their views regarding the book. For instance, Minister of Planning and Development, Dr. Fitsum Asafa, said that the book is very much important and relevant as it brings the idea of indigenous knowledge and indigenous wisdom. How do you see her evaluation and assessment of the book? She said, like bringing the idea of indigenous knowledge, idea of indigenous wisdom is very much important, as the indigenous knowledge is very much tailored with the specific realities of Ethiopia. How do you see her evaluation?
Thank you, Zelalem, very much for the opportunity and the discussion. And from the outset, as you said, Madamar State, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's latest and fourth book was unveiled at a historic and remarkable ceremony at the Addis Ababa International Convention Center. And this event was attended by the outer Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed himself, First Lady Zinnash Tayacho, President Taye Atsqeletsillase, even Deputy Prime Minister Teመስገን ጥሩነህ, and Parliament Speaker Taገሰ ጫፎ, high-ranking military officials, as well as different representatives from various segments of the society. And this grand launching ceremony was also enriched by discussion, a wide-ranging discussion by different scholars, distinguished scholars, and even political figures. And they also shared their own insight and perspective about the Madamar State book. The first review was delivered by, as you mentioned earlier, Minister of Planning and Development, Dr. Fitsum Asafa. She underscored the indigenous perspective of Madamar State, which is vital and which tries the book to fix, the Ethiopian deep-rooted problem. What she said, Madamar is just not only, showing the direction for the future, but it tries to, address the historical, cultural, and economical as well development fractures in the history of the Ethiopian establishment, especially in its modern history since establishing a modern administration. And Madamar has comes with new ideas and a very important ideas how to fix the Ethiopian problem, how to fix the Ethiopian fractures that has hindering its development and materializing growth, and because what repeatedly mentioned, including the Prime Minister and also Dr. Fuzum, Ethiopia once a time is a civilized nation, but through process, the country has not yet materialized an important development to transform its political economic system. So she, underscored, the book's, our major ideas, especially, creativity and synergy and also inclusiveness to transform the Ethiopian political economic system and how leapfrogging in the future, Zalal.
All right. We will rush to the leapfrogging and jump over ideologies entertained in Madamar State, a book by Dr. Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, later in our discussion. But let's stay on the indigenous knowledge, indigenous ideas and wisdoms, which was very much entertained in the book Madamar State. We are discussing on the Madamar State, a book by Dr. Abiy Ahmed. By the way, since he came to power in 2018, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed has written 4 different books related with Madamar. By the way, Madamar is a local word, Amharic word, which can roughly be translated in English as synergy. And the idea of Madamar, the idea of synergy, promotes and advocates the idea of cooperation, collaboration and togetherness. So he has written 4 books focused and centered on Madamar. His first book was titled Madamar, and his second book named Madamar Journey, and his third book titled The Madamar Generation, and his latest and 4th newest book has been titled The Madamar State. And The Madamar State, the book has been unveiled this week with the presence of high-ranking government officials, politicians, scholars, and prominent individuals here in Ethiopia. So we are sharing the views of different government officials and politicians who read the book and who shared their ideas, their views and their reflections on the book, The Madamar State. And we have mentioned the idea of Dr. Fuzum Asafa, who is serving as Minister of Planning and Development. And she said that the book is very much important, very much vital, as it brings the idea of indigenous knowledge and indigenous wisdom. Ethiopia is known for its indigenous knowledge and wisdom because Ethiopia is one of the oldest independent nations in Africa and, of course, in the entire world. So Ethiopia has thousands of history, thousands of indigenous knowledge. Ethiopians have been developing and improving their indigenous knowledge in different areas, for example, in agriculture, in education, in health, for example, in herbal medicine, and so on. So the book, Madamar State, said that the country needs to revitalize its indigenous knowledge, its indigenous wisdom to propel economic growth and political and social development. And this idea of the Madamar State, the book was very much appreciated by Dr. Fuzum Asafa, the Minister of Planning and Development. Ethiopia has enormous treasures and resources with regards to indigenous knowledge. Different nationalities in Ethiopia, from north to south, from east to west. There are enormous indigenous knowledge in the country. So we need to utilize, we need to harness our treasures because they are very much tailored, connected to the specific realities of the country. For instance, in the past decades and centuries, Ethiopians have tried to implement foreign ideologies, foreign doctrines that were brought from foreign countries from east or west. And they were not successful because they were not connected, related with the specific realities of the country. So in Madamar State, in his 4th book, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed is telling us the country needs to utilize its own indigenous resource, its own indigenous wisdom, so that the country can sustain peace, can sustain democracy, can sustain and realize, ensure economic, political, social development. And that was very much admired by Dr. Fuzum Asafa, the Minister of Planning and Development. Getnet, for example, you can see Ethiopia's indigenous knowledge in conflict resolution mechanism. In every part of the country, there are enormous conflict resolution mechanism, traditional conflict resolution mechanism, and they are very much effective and successful. They are better than the modern system as well. For instance, if you and I enter to conflict, in the modern world, in the modern justice system, we're going to go to the court, and the court will listen to our case, and the court will pass its own decision. And the verdict of the court will make one of us winner and the other loser. So there is winner and loser in the court in the modern justice system. judicial system. But in Ethiopia's traditional conflict resolution mechanism, there is a condition, there is opportunity where all conflicting parties can become winner. When conflict arise, when disputes are created in certain community, in certain society, the conflicting party go to elders, the mediators. Elders are mediators. Apparently, elders in Ethiopia are very much respected, very much trusted. So the elders will listen to the cases, will listen to the feelings, the resentments, the ideas of both conflicting parties, and once they heard the ideas of the conflicting parties, they will pass their decision, and most importantly, they will reconcile. They will help the conflicting parties to reach on reconciliation, and that reconciliation make all conflicting parties beneficiaries and winners. So that system sustains peace, that system sustains security in communities. Therefore, Ethiopia's traditional conflict resolution mechanism can be mentioned as one of the most important indigenous knowledge, indigenous wisdom of the country. So Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed is telling the people of Ethiopia to utilize, to revitalize such indigenous wisdom for betterment of the country. Other scholars and politicians also shared their views regarding the Maddemer state. Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed's fourth book. In this regard, Getachew Reda, Prime Minister's advisor on Eastern African affairs, also shared his idea. He described the Maddemer state as a thorough reflection on Ethiopia's past, present, and envisioned future. He emphasized the work goes beyond identifying the country's enduring problems by presenting practical and forward-looking solutions. So how such forward-looking solutions are important, how such innovative and forward-looking solutions presented by Dr. Abiy Ahmed in his fourth book, the Maddemer states.
Exactly. Actually, there were no Getachew and FISM actually presented their perspective about the Maddemer books. Actually, we have Dr. Danyacho Asafa, who is a philosopher and a lecturer at Addis Ababa University, and also a political analyst. His name is actually, Zarihun Tashoma. They also, and other individuals also presented their own perspective. When it comes to Getachew's point of view, and his comment about the Maddemer State book has drawn attention of the viewers and also the audiences, even the Ethiopian public in general. And he appreciated the Prime Minister himself, because Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has not written only just a biography or a history. He wrote, a very philosophical, a heart that will lead Ethiopia and transform Ethiopia into a development, a beacon of prosperity in the African continent. So first, he appreciated the Prime Minister who translated his vision and his philosophy into a document that would lead the government. So, and especially he appreciates the book itself, the Maddemer state, and commenting about just ending the vicious circle. What he said, winner takes all, has to be ended in Ethiopian body politics, because starting from feudalism to federalism, we have seen so many controversies and polarization ideas between our political elites that resulted in conflicts, unwanted results, and weakening institutions. And in the case of the decays of an institution, what Maddemer, as the book repeatedly mentioned in this regard, and he appreciated the Prime Minister's perspective in this regard on his book. And he also appreciated, it's public knowledge. Just a few years ago, there was a northern Ethiopian conflict, and Getachew was on another side at that time, and he was not witnessing those development activities in the central Ethiopia, especially in the capital Addis Ababa. And he, after now, is actually part of the Ethiopian government. He's an advisor of the Prime Minister on the East African affairs, and he reflected his observation, his witness in the capital Addis Ababa, especially the corridor development. He was amused what the Ethiopian government under the Madamar philosophy, under the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed leadership, that achieved an extraordinary success in a few years. The corridor development itself, which is we can take as a result of Madamar philosophy, leadership, attracting global attentions. The face of the city is from time to time changing in a very dramatical way. So he appreciated these development activities and has to be expanded in other part of the country. And he mentioned has to be expanded in Meghalaya and Bahar Dar. Of course, the activities have been underway for the public knowledge. So he appreciated also, the solution, to add some values or the previous values. We have a trend, a vicious circle of trend. All leadership of the past, not rather than building on the assets, on the existing institutions. There was a trend of dismantling those institutions and start from zero. So what Madamar is giving an hint and adding up on these existing institutions and value, and also addressing the challenges and go forward for the future development. So Getachew was positively commenting in this case, Zalalam, I would say.
Yes, Getachew Reda, currently serving as Prime Minister's advisor on Eastern African affairs, and he shared his interesting views, insights and perspectives regarding Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed's fourth book called The Madamar State. And in particular, he appreciated the book because it brings solution. He said that it brings practical solution, forward-looking attitude and thinking in the minds of Ethiopians. That's very much essential. There are problems here and there. We can mention dozens of problems. With regards to governance, with regards to economic development, problems with regards to peace and security. There are enormous problems we can list. And of course, Ethiopia's problems, many, several, complex, multifaceted problems are of course studied and well investigated and well documented. So Ethiopia's problem can be found everywhere in different shapes. The issue, the point should be to bring solution. So Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed's fourth book, Madamar State, has brought solution. For instance, you have been mentioning the conflict which was erupted in northern parts of the country a few years ago, and that conflict was, of course, interestingly solved by Ethiopians. That's very much important. So the Madamar State, the book has brought solutions. For example, like I said before, there are indigenous knowledge to confront conflict. Conflict is a natural phenomenon in any society. You can't avoid conflict. You can't eradicate. You can't totally eliminate conflict, but you can reduce the magnitude of the conflict. And of course, you can best manage and effectively overcome this conflict. So we need to revitalize our indigenous wisdom to overcome, to address the enduring challenge of the country. So that is very much important. The book brought solution. That's the point that Getachew Reda admired. So Dr. Abiy Ahmed has brought various solutions to Ethiopia's enduring problems in different aspects, in economy, in politics, in social relations and connections and so on. Getachew Reda has also commented the book in terms of bringing different political culture. He said that The Madamar State, a book by Dr. Abiy Ahmed, has brought a paradigm shift in Ethiopia's political culture. Like you said, Ethiopian political culture has long stayed as a winner takes all. So the Madamar State has brought a new culture. It has brought a new idea that goes beyond winner takes mentality, and that goes beyond zero-sum game. We have witnessed different governments, different ruling parties over the past few decades in Ethiopia, and those ruling parties, those governments used to think like they can survive in the demise of the other. They used to think like they can prosper in the failure of other. So this book, The Madamar State by Dr. Abiy Ahmed, has brought a new political culture where different political parties, where different political views can survive and prosper. And fundamentally, the book has brought a culture where politicians with distinct political ideology and philosophy can work together for common agenda, for common interest, and that's for national interest. So the book is very much important to propel the country to the next stage of development in politics, in economy, and in various aspects. And Dr. Fitsum Asafa also said that.
So can I add something?
Of course, yeah.
You know, especially one of the very challenging issues for Ethiopia is its body politics. You know, it's a vicious circle, and it's you know, as we said repeatedly, winner takes all kind of approach, and all political elites or political parties or governments came in different time with a barrel of gun rather than pursue a civil political approach, a democratic an approach. And what Madamar, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, Madamar State Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's book is insisting and arguing this has to be ended somewhere, you know. And it calls, you know, of course, political parties or individual or political elites could have different views, but they should not compromise the national interests. And with diversity, with idea diversity and the supremacy of idea, they can entertain. And but on some issue they come together. And Madamar, you know, suggesting that suggests this to you know, come together and also have different ideas on diversity, but don't compromise any kind of national interests. And they should be you know, act in this approach. And this is the only solution, as Madam Asti says, for Ethiopia to propel development and direct progress and a better future. So this is a very important and political aspect at Madamar State.
Exactly, getting it. Much has been said regarding Madamar State, a book by Dr. Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. Let us share the views of Minister of Planning and Development, Dr. Fitsum Asafa. She also said that the Madamar State, the book has brought idea of leapfrogging and innovative ideas, leapfrogging and jump over kind of thought. So in fact, Ethiopia needs leapfrogging and jump over attitude. Otherwise, the country cannot cope up with the developed world. You know, the developed world, for example, when industrialization was started some centuries ago, 200 years ago in United Kingdom, Ethiopia didn't hear about industrialization. So the country has lagged behind development in many aspects. So the country needs to jump over, needs to leapfrog. Otherwise, the country cannot cope up with the world. For example, now the world, the developed world in particular, entered to digital age, digital era. By the time Ethiopians have not utilized, have not fully harnessed the benefits of industries and industrialization. So the country has no option but to jump over to digital age. Of course, His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed said that you know, the country Ethiopia will never lag behind digital age, will never lag behind artificial intelligence and other aspects of digital age. He promised to Ethiopians. So Dr. Fitsum Asafa, Minister of Planning and Development, said that the book is very much important as it brings the idea of leapfrogging. Ethiopia needs to leapfrog to cope up with the global world. How do you see such ideas?
Yeah, exactly. What Madamar State is strongly suggests and about innovation, synergy, and creativity, and as well as leapfrogging. You know, even the Prime Minister in his recent interview with Fana Broadcasting Corporation, and he said, you know, without innovation and without leapfrogging, Ethiopia will never achieve its aspiration for development and prosperity. So it strongly suggests these major ideas for Ethiopian better future, and especially there are some important sectors that needs leapfrogging. For instance, you mentioned that the global context, you know, the world is heading in a very fast pace, and Ethiopia has still lagging in terms of manufacturing. You can say, in terms of the digital era, we are still far behind. But thanks to the Madama philosophy for the last 7 years, under the leadership of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, there were lots of success stories have been registered, and especially in digital area like digital sphere. For instance, we can mention the 2025 digital Ethiopia. There were lots of success has been registered to transform the East African nation into a developing and a competent nation. And also there are also some, as Dr. Futsam also mentioned, some other areas that has the government, under the leadership of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, identified leapfrogging areas. For instance, mitigating environmental industry impacts. So what Ethiopia has registered a wonderful success no country has achieved in Africa, even in the global level. This is the Green Legacy Initiative. During the last few years, based on this initiative, especially initiated by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, the country has planted close to 50 billion trees across the country, which is a perfect response for environmental impact, because we have witnessing for the last decades, there is a lots of meetings and lots of rhetoric about environmental impact, but no country, even the rich countries, the developed world, responds in a perfect way, in a pragmatical way for this response. But Ethiopia has done and achieved this because of the intention leapfrogging in some areas. Also, we achieve, even I can mention here, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed also, by the way, during the inauguration of the Madama State Book on Tuesday, also delivered a speech, and the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, which recently inaugurated, and appreciated by the global audiences, the global media and leaders of African countries. So he mentioned the Ethiopian potentials. As you mentioned earlier, Ethiopia has a lot of indigenous potential. One is executing projects. Sometimes for many people, for many third world countries, we can say even for the black people, it is unthinkable to execute such projects as the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. So Madama State, which is a very important document, also identified major sectors that needs leapfrogging, innovation, and speed up those approaches. Zalal.
Yes, exactly. We are sharing the views of different politicians, scholars, and prominent individuals who share their view on Madama State, a book by Dr. Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. And Getachew Reda, Prime Minister's advisor on Eastern African affairs, also said that the book is very important because it insists, it advocates for building up on positive achievement and positive outcomes, positive deeds of the past, and to correct the mistakes of the past. This is very much important because there are lots of positive achievements which have been done over the past few years. For example, a notable example in this regard can be the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, as we all remember, was started some 14 years ago by the previous administration. But the previous administration didn't finalize, didn't complete the project. And what His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed's government did was to finalize, to complete the project. Now the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam has been completed beautifully with $5 billion investment, and it has been fully financed by the government and people of Ethiopia. And this is a great achievement. So what Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed's government did was to finalize the project, because the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam has been a grand project, and it has been the aspiration of Ethiopians for centuries and for many years ago. So Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed, in his book Madama State, advocated the idea of building up on positive achievements and of course correcting the mistakes. For example, there are enormous achievements being recorded over the past few years in terms of education. For example, if you see universities, many universities have been built over the past few years, and those achievements are really great and they need to be sustained. So the Madamar state is telling us that we need to sustain, we need to build up on the positive achievements. For example, the universities have been built. The problems of the previous administration was to compromise on quality education, and what the present government, the current government by Dr. Abiy Ahmed is doing is to to keep the quality education. So there are lots of ideas entertained during the inauguration ceremony of Dr. Abiy Ahmed's fourth book called The Madamar State. Yeah. Dear viewers, we will continue to share you fresh perspectives and insights regarding the Madamar State, Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed's fourth book. But for today, many thanks for watching and bye for now.